Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ang pagpapalaki dito sa Amerika ng ating mga anak ay hindi po kadalian, lalo na kapag nahihirapan tayo sa ibang mga pananaw dahil sa pagitan ng mga henerasyon. Dito po sa Kababayan Today, para sa aming Mommy Monday episode, meron akong mga bisitang tutulong sa atin. Marami tayong pag-uusapan kaya hindi ko na patatagalin. Raising kids here in the United States and bridging the gap between generations, Philam generations, is a challenge that we as Filipino parents face. Dito sa Kababayan Today for our Mommy Monday episode, I have an esteemed panel of guests that can all contribute to our discussion today. Starting out with Jayme, kasama natin, counselor from Search to Involve Pilipino Americans, at kasama naman natin si Edna Reyes, preschool teacher of CHLA's Child Development Center. And to my right is Dr. Joyce Javier, Filipino-American pediatrician from Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. At kasama natin si Kimler Gutierrez, program manager of API Equality LA. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get it started. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here on Kababayan Today. This is a very important discussion we're doing today. We've never had it on Kababayan Today, but I joined SIPA's parenting panel, and I thought it was extremely important because a lot of Filipino parents that were there had all these issues to talk about when it comes to their kids. So let's start off with Miss Edna. Miss Edna, what are the problems you see between Filipino parents and their children?
Yes, most of the time is the communication. Communication is very difficult.
Is it because yung parents nagtatagalog, yung mga bata hindi na nagtatagalog? Is that it or no?
No, that's not it. It's the way they communicate. It's usually one-sided. Usually it's the parents talking and the children will be listening. That's all.
Okay.
There's no voice on the children, you know, like talking.
So there's no feedback, right?
No feedback.
It's only the parents going ta 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 ta,
Yes,
and the
and
kids can't even say anything. Right.
It will be disrespectful for the kids to say anything while the parents are talking.
Well, I have to say, you know, my mom gave birth to me at 40. There's a big generational gap. I'm now in my mid-30s, and until now, I'm considered disrespectful if I try to say something, you know? So I think that's a really big issue. Anna, what about you? What are the problems you encounter, especially when you're out in the field counseling?
So I think it's also very similar to that, the parents saying, well, they're not respecting me, they're not listening to me. But I think beyond that also, the way the Eastern way of expressing love or expressing emotions are very different from like the Western way here, right?
Okay.
So, and I'll explain a little bit. So in the Eastern way, love is shown by doing. Right? So
I get good grades.
Right.
It's all result-based.
Yes, and same for the parents. I work 3 jobs, I'm putting food on your table.
Oh, I hear that all the time. Oh my gosh.
There you go. So, but you should know from that I love you. I don't have to hear it.
Different because
very different.
people need to hear it. People need that, pat on the back or the hug.
Culture, yes.
In this culture.
In this culture.
Okay, so that's where the clash really happens,
yes,
right? Okay,
yes.
Kimler, let's talk about your experience. What are the big problems that the generations face?
Well, I feel like the older generation, my parents, really valued adapting to American culture. And so there were many instances where I wasn't, Tagalog is actually my first language, but once we came to the States, when I was about 3 years old, my parents stopped speaking it to me. And even when I wanted to learn it, they refused to allow me to learn it because they didn't want me to either develop an accent or develop a different way of speaking, and they wanted me to really blend in as much as possible. And I think the issue with that is that, I think it has opened some doors, for better or worse. But an issue attached to that is that I feel less attached to my culture. And so definitely walking this line where, you're not fully Filipino, but you're not going to be considered American, in many ways, makes it very difficult. And so when you talk about like parents showing their love, rather than, emotionally they show it through materially, I think also my parents were much more attached to their roots, and they can always go back to their extended family and talk about things, even if they didn't realize that they were being emotionally expressive. That was something that I generally didn't have access to, because I was told to call my titas and titos aunts and uncles, and really like I not do the mano or anything like that. It was really just look
Yes.
as American as you could.
Okay, so what this is we Filipinos are really great at adapting, assimilating, but it's also become something very negative for us because we're taught to fit in. We've lost our sense of identity of who we are. Dr. Joyce, what's your take on this?
I became a doctor because I really wanted to give back to the Filipino community.
You mean you wanted to give back to the community and not because of the pressure of your parents? Because let's face it, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a lawyer. So you wanted to give back to the community.
And I had a very similar experience to Kimler, where I also didn't learn the language, and I understand they wanted me to fit in. But then when I went to college at UCLA, I took Philam history, and I learned all about our culture. Then I learned about the health issues that are affecting Filipinos as well as Asians. With Asians, they call us the model minority, and they don't look at all of our different groups. And so I learned that within our groups, we have issues going on. So
Right.
I've really dedicated the past 10 years to look at Filipino-American youth in America. And what I'm seeing is that Filipino youth growing up in the U.S. have higher behavioral problems such as depression and suicide, as well as drug use, all the things that we don't want our teenagers to face. And
Okay, so all of these problems, we will be talking about that here on Kababayan Today. Ladies and gentlemen, you won't want to miss this. Don't go away. We'll be right back.